Latin America is once again the center of intense international tension. The United States, the world's most powerful military force, is increasing pressure on Venezuela under Nicolas Maduro. Warships patrol the Caribbean, reconnaissance planes sweep the skies, and fighter jets stand ready. One question is now unavoidable. Are we on the brink of a war in our own continent? To understand this scenario, we need to look back a few years. In 2018, after highly contested elections, Washington stopped recognizing Maduro as Venezuela's legitimate president. Severe sanctions followed immediately. Companies were prohibited from dealing with Caracas. Venezuelan assets were frozen. Billions of dollars in oil revenue were inaccessible. The country, already suffering from a deep economic crisis, fell further into collapse. The result was one of the largest migrations in recent history. Over 7 million Venezuelans left their country in search of food, work, and dignity. But tensions didn't stop there. In 2020, the United States accused Maduro of heading an international drug cartel. The Department of Justice offered $15 million for his capture, a shocking sum for any leader. Now, that reward has been raised to $50 million. The U.S. is sending a message. They are not merely applying pressure. They want Maduro removed. How did the Bolivarian regime respond? With irony, defiance, and a clear demonstration of power. Maduro mobilized millions of civilians into so-called popular militias. The government claims that over 3 million citizens are ready to defend the homeland with weapons in hand. Military experts warn, however, most of these militias are untrained, under-equipped, and composed mainly of civilians. They would face extreme difficulty against a technologically advanced and highly trained military force. Meanwhile, the United States is not just talking. They are showing force. Destroyers, nuclear submarines, and F-18 and F-35 fighter jets patrol the Caribbean. The Pentagon describes these movements as anti-narcotics operations, but analysts agree these deployments also prepare the ground for other scenarios, including surgical strikes on key Venezuelan targets. To fully understand U.S. actions, we must discuss drug trafficking. Venezuela sits strategically between the world's largest cocaine producers and the largest consumer, the United States. According to DEA investigations, the Venezuelan government allegedly facilitates hundreds of tons of drugs annually. The so-called Los Soles cartel, supposedly led by Maduro, allegedly controls the logistics chain, from production to international transport, including ports, airports, and even the complicity of military sectors. And the military gap is staggering. The United States has over 1.3 million active duty soldiers, with nearly 500,000 in reserves. Its military budget exceeds $900 billion annually. They have bases on every continent, naval fleets across all oceans, and the ability to launch precision strikes anywhere. Venezuela, by contrast, has just over 100,000 active soldiers. Its military budget barely reaches $5 billion. Much of its equipment has been neglected due to years of economic collapse. Still, we cannot underestimate Maduro's cards. The country has Russian S-300 air defense systems, Sukhoi fighter jets, and secret agreements with Moscow, Beijing, and Tehran. And that is exactly what concerns U.S. strategists. An attack on Venezuela is no longer only a regional matter. It is a global chessboard, a message to Russia, China, and Iran, who all have strategic interests in preserving the Chavista regime. Russia has sent military instructors and supplied heavy weapons. China is Venezuela's largest creditor, with tens of billions in loans at stake. Both see Caracas as leverage against the United States in its own hemisphere. If tensions escalate, it is not only Venezuela versus the United States, it is a game involving multiple global powers. Every action could trigger a chain reaction. Latin America is also on alert. Colombia, historically a U.S. ally, stated it would not directly support an invasion, but would not oppose diplomatic pressure. Brazil, sharing over 2,000 kilometers of border with Venezuela, would feel the impact immediately. Conflict could generate new waves of refugees, increase arms smuggling, and trigger border clashes. The Brazilian army has already conducted exercises near Roraima in anticipation of regional instability. Venezuela's internal situation also matters. The population is divided. Some remain loyal to Maduro, either out of belief in Chavismo or fear of change. Others cannot tolerate hunger, poverty, and political repression any longer. An external attack could trigger internal uprisings, or conversely, unite the population around nationalism. How could a U.S. strike unfold? Analysts suggest surgical airstrikes aimed at neutralizing Venezuelan aviation, destroying arms depots, and hitting drug labs. Warships could blockade ports and key roads, isolating the country economically. Special forces might capture key leaders if ordered. Maduro, however, is not standing still. Militias would be mobilized. Russian-made air defense systems could complicate aerial operations. Allies such as Russia and China would politically support Caracas, making a full-scale invasion impossible without global backlash. Oil is another key factor. Venezuela has the largest proven oil reserves in the world. Controlling the country means controlling one of the planet's greatest energy resources. This explains why the United States watches the region so closely. Let's talk history. Since 1971, when Nixon declared war on drugs, the U.S. has intensified anti-drug campaigns. Programs ranged from mandatory rehabilitation to heavy prison sentences. Despite these efforts, drug consumption and cartels have only evolved. From Mexico to Colombia and now Venezuela, criminal organizations have adapted and expanded operations. Cartels in Mexico, such as Sinaloa and Jalisco Nueva Generación, collaborate with Venezuelan networks. The result, a complex system capable of bypassing border controls, hiding shipments in vehicles, planes, and even drones. The U.S. sees these networks as a direct threat to national security. Recent Pentagon operations include deploying destroyers, amphibious groups, and reconnaissance aircraft to monitor trafficking routes. The objective: neutralize criminal networks, safeguard the Caribbean, and deter any threats to U.S. interests. So what is the likely scenario? Most experts predict American show of force continues. Economic and diplomatic pressure increases. Surgical strikes may occur if necessary. A full-scale invasion is highly unlikely due to international and regional risks. But one thing is clear. This tension is not just about drugs or politics. It is a test of global influence, a challenge for U.S. power in Latin America, and a warning to any nation that seeks to defy Washington. And you? Do you think the United States will dare to attack Venezuela militarily? Or is this all a display of force, a political theater to remove Maduro without firing a single bullet? Leave your thoughts in the comments, because this story is far from over. What happens in Caracas in the coming months could reshape the future of all Latin America.